Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here with the fourth and final season of Castlevania, unfortunately. Um this has definitely been one of my favorite things on Netflix, and actually one of the better video game adaptations that we've had ever, strangely. I personally, I thought there have been a few that weren't great, but they were good. The most recent Mortal Kombat film, for example, I thought that was pretty good. I think Assassin's Creed was pretty okay as well. But I think animation allows the creators to actually do a lot more than they're restricted by so much with live action. And I've said this so many times that animation is its own medium, and not everything needs to be done in live action. So perhaps, just perhaps, many should take a page from Castlevania's book and just try to do something animated instead of live action. But there's still some good stuff to look towards, like Last of Us, that's coming up. So video game adaptations are getting better and better, and Castlevania. The moment that Adi Shankar, he mentioned some of the inspirations that he drew from things like Vampire Hunter D. That was the first thing that actually sold me, and the fact that he was drawing inspiration from these great classic anime format. So yeah, I hopefully more people look at that and say, okay, yes, we can do this. Um, but I know a lot of persons, or some may not have been pleased with some of the changes that were made with certain characters, but I'm enjoying it so far. I think that's one of the benefits of video game adaptations versus something that's adapted from a novel or manga, etc. Is that I think they have more room to make creative choices. So I've been enjoying it so far. The only thing that's missing is the wall chicken, which, who knows, you might get that this season. It's the last season. It has to be there. But last time on Castlevania, the Infinite Corridor was introduced. It was a trippy season. In season 3, Infinite Corridor, Saint Germain, who has no left, but it has expanded the world to be so much more. And I imagine maybe that's where they'll go with, or maybe not, but with the next Castlevania project, since they've said that they are still leaving things open for potential spin-off series that will involve other Belmonts. But the Infinite Corridor definitely makes that possible. I know there's been some weird rumors running around about some crossover with Devil May Cry, and again, Infinite Corridor makes that possible. It's essentially their multiverse, So that was just a fantastic season. Where we last left our characters, unfortunately, not too great for them. Alucard, unfortunately, has become something of a recluse, putting spikes on heads outside his castle. Of course, we know the twins betrayed him, but hopefully, he recovers from that. In the trailer that we did see, he appeared to be out and about and helping others. So maybe he found, perhaps he's past that dark moment. But Cypher and Trevor unfortunately had to stop someone from resurrecting Dracula. But they made a friend in Saint Germain in the process, and yeah, a lot of dark things in that village. Children, a child murderer. Well, I think he was just killing. He was just a mass murderer, just killing everyone and taking their shoes. Judge, but Isaac's story was an interesting one. He went on this journey. He met this man called Captain. No one has a name. No one had a name in the last season. But Captain was, he was spitting some truth, and told Isaac all the things that he needed to hear. To write his own story, rather than following Dracula's. And so one of that is my favorite character, without a doubt, in this series so far, and I'm interested to see how they close his story. But yeah, it's gonna be a bloodbath when he finally gets to Carmilla's castle and comes face to face with Hector, who betrayed his master. And maybe at this point he will no longer care, and he'll have his own agenda. That castle would be nice to take and rule from. So who knows? He doesn't have Dracula's castle, so make his home there. I'm sure it's gonna be wild, guys. So let's get into it. This is
Gone more wrong.
this is immediately following the end of
Spent a
season
couple
3.
of months living your life.
Oh, you've experienced mine.
We're living my life.
Undead. All right, he's not out of practice. I love how every season Cypher just levels up. And you're gone. Come on, use the fire. She's been able to use the fire to levitate before. Okay. This is the one controlling them. Man, you guys are having a terrible time of it.
Next time, find somewhere less dangerous to be. Huh?
Yeah.
4 weeks ago. It's just week after week after
This
week.
isn't my fault.
This one's on me. I will make it right.
It's raining. She has ammo. Nice. She made it right. No coincidence. I really hope for this season they're a bit more consistent with the animation. From episode 1 to 10. No, you don't. Stick to the heart.
It's a spell. Murder wakes it up.
What kind of spell?
Resurrection. It wouldn't have worked. It's missing parts.
Take a guess.
Decodes as Blood Dracula Tepesh.
Why the fuck would anyone do that?
I'm curious to know myself. I would have thought, much like Carmilla's group, that a lot of these vampires would be trying to take over, the continent versus trying to bring him back, because Dracula seems to have kept order and kept them in check. Now they can let loose.
What did you just say?
I said shit, okay?
Trevor's growing on you.
Yes, it's just that you never,
Yes, you.
I was nice. And then I married you. And now I like you.
Oh, so it's my fault.
I wouldn't say nice.
It's all your fault. You did this to
She wanted to pee in a bottle and give it to him to drink. The first scene we saw her in.
fucking talking here! Getting shit, hairy arse, words, giant slimy balls, shit!
I like that we're seeing some different monsters this season, not just vampires, on, Trevor. Where are you? Probably both.
Lay down flat, now!
Oh, they're just human, so easier to deal with. Oh, he's a big one. Come on, Trevor. Blacking out.
What's that thing?
I've only seen drawings in books. He has a lot of names.
Death.
He's called the Grim Reaper. Or just...
So this is just a shrine to him, you think?
Paying tribute. Maybe in the hope that he can
Sacrifices.
give Dracula back to them. He's supposed to be lethal, but he's not the sort of power who can reach into hell and pull someone out.
They're going back to where it all began. This place is a ghost town. I mean, after they heard Dracula was dead, I would have expected them to return here. I mean, the townspeople. This one's a fighter. Oh. I love their team when they team up. Got him. In the heart. Trevor is lucky. I mean, he was retired before the whole mess with Dracula began, but I imagine on his own now he would have been having a terrible time without Cypher.
This stinks of magic. They were looking for tools.
No, that's not your fault, though.
Right. We need to find somewhere safe to sleep.
And take tomorrow to rest and think all this through.
We killed Dracula. And now, we have to spend the rest of our lives making sure nobody brings him back from the dead? This is not what I agreed to.
It's what you're destined to do as a Belmont, unfortunately.
Is that bastard wearing the Belmont crest?
Sladek and Ivan are dead.
Take Targovishta and give it to Dracula as a gift. Why is everyone making it so fucking hard? Don't they know who I am?
No, we don't.
I'm Varney, Nightmare of London, Terror of the British Isles, King
All right,
of
Varney.
Empire Coxman of all.
Go down there and tell them, Varney. Ooh, Alucard. Alright, so people on spikes. Hopefully, it's just the last two. Damn. It's a terrible time to visit him. Oh, man. No, it's just a horse? There's someone unconscious on a horse. Again? Come on, Alucard.
To the Alucard of the castle. For God's sake. Why am I the Alucard now?
I was about to say the same thing.
Night creatures, vampires, and terrible demons assault us, and we know not why. Our defenses weaken and our numbers dwindle. Please, sir, save us.
You need something, Alucard. You need this. Come on. Hey, horses come a long way.
And you still kept on riding. Until you died from the pain or the blood. You stay right there. I'm not done with you yet. A bit less of your shit, please.
Made a friend. Alright, so good to see he hasn't gone completely off the deep end and, abandoned all hope. He still has a heart in there. And he should help. It's like your mother would want. Yeah, just take them down and bury them. Alright, episode 1 of Castlevania. That was a great introduction, a great start. We picked up immediately after season 3 to see what's been happening to our group. They've been traveling from town to town. They've not managed to catch a break ever, and it hasn't been that long. I think between season 2 and season 3, it was like maybe months. But here, it's just been a few weeks. So I'm glad that they picked up immediately after the events of the last season. So they've been going from town to town. All these incidents keep happening where people are trying to resurrect Dracula, and I guess I'm thinking to myself, why. I think Camilla had said it on her journey back to her castle that all these factions were rising up and going to war with each other because they wanted to fill the vacuum that Dracula left. But now there's so many people trying to bring him back, so I wonder what has led to this. We did see a glimpse of that those followers that he had in the monks, that were trying to resurrect him, but. Some of the vampires I would think would want him to stay dead so that they can take his place. But who knows? Perhaps it's a case where those trying to resurrect him know that he will bring balance because none of this shit was happening on Dracula's watch. So clearly he was doing more good. He's probably killed a lot of people. So I'm not going to say he's a great person. But he was keeping the other vampires in check. So it's an interesting dynamic to see that there's so many people that want to bring him back, not just humans but also vampires as well. We didn't get any Carmilla this episode. We didn't see Isaac or Hector or Lenore. So this was strictly focused on our central characters, just to reintroduce us to this world and what they've been up to. So yeah, Trevor and Sci-Fi. I said it in the actual episode that I don't know what Trevor would have done without her in this time. I think perhaps before Dracula died, he may have been okay on his own, but as things are now, she saved his ass a bunch of times. He has saved her as well, but he being the vampire hunter, he definitely needs her, and it's just funny to see. She acknowledges that she's adopting some of his bad habits, and who knows, maybe he's adopting some of hers as well. So it's interesting to see their dynamic is still pretty much there. Alucard has he hasn't completely gone to the dark side as yet. I understand the betrayal that he felt in the last season, and for some odd reason, some persons didn't seem too pleased with what happened last season. I've seen a few comments here and there about the twins and why that needed to be there, and I'm like, look, this is a series about you know vampires, monsters. We've seen decapitations, limbs, guts, but some people seem to they draw the line at seeing some nudity. Come on, it's yeah. And as for Alucard himself, I think the purpose of the scene was, I think it was alluded to throughout season 3 or 2 that he grew up really fast, so he's never experienced, the much of what he has with the twins. He's never, I don't think, I think he genuinely liked them or grew to have some affection towards them, and he may not have had that before. This was probably his first sexual experience, but outside of that, it was his first time having someone like that betray him. So it was a lesson that he actually needed to actually learn. It's just a matter of whether he comes out of it thinking that all humans are like this or not. And I see him here coming back to the realization that, much like Dracula had to eventually, that a lot of humans are bad, but when he met his wife, he came to the realization that some are actually good. So I think that needed to happen for him. Could they have skipped the sex scene? Sure, but I don't see why it didn't take anything away from what needed to happen for me. So I don't see it being that I don't see why it needed to be removed. So, and again, if they're coming, the inspiration that they're drawing from Vampire Hunter D and so on, these are intended to be for adults, not kids. So it's just sex. It's not. I continue to be amazed at how much violence is acceptable, but when it comes to some nudity, people just fly off the handle. But yeah, I think that was a necessary experience for Alucard, with the twins, assuming that they're twins, because I don't think that was ever confirmed. I think they may have just grown up in the same castle. But yeah, I see him now. He's slowly coming back to the light. I think he's going to go to their aid. I thought this rider was going to be the young woman that we saw in the trailer, but I guess not. Perhaps she'll be his second visitor asking him for help, or maybe he'll go and help and she'll follow him back, or whatever the case might be. But one of the things I'm curious to know this season is because in the trailer for season 4, we didn't see Alucard and Trevor and Cypher together at any point throughout the trailer. That could be a misdirect, or perhaps they just don't meet until much later on. But I wonder whether Alucard will be going on his own journey this season, more to sort of find himself again, while Trevor and Cypher will be focused purely on, stopping Dracula's resurrection and death. I do want them to come back together, though. I kind of miss that. I think we spent all of season 3 without them being together, so it'd be nice to have a reunion at the very end, at least, since this is the final season for all these characters. So it would be nice to see them come back. And I know people are hoping for some of the other Castlevania characters to be introduced as well. So there's a lot that they could potentially do this season. So I can't wait. We were introduced to some new vampires who are trying to, I guess some of them are, loyal to Dracula, and they're still in Targovishta for some odd reason. Not sure what to do with themselves, but I'm anticipating some very unique. And I mentioned during this reaction as well that just this episode alone, we're seeing a lot of different creatures, not just the usual vampires that we've seen for the last 3 seasons, but we've seen some undead, some creatures that look like goblins, and so we're seeing more variety in the creatures, and I think that's pretty great. It's another fantastic episode, guys. I can't wait to see what the remainder of the season looks like. They did not disappoint with the animation. I still think it's not the best I've seen in Castlevania, and I would have wanted to see some consistency from episode 1 throughout. But who knows? Maybe they'll impress me in the next episode. But I want this season to go out on the highest note possible. So I would prefer that they have the animation a bit more consistent from beginning to end. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, guys, be sure to post down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Hit like and subscribe, and I will see you for the next one.